Welcome, I'm using an Apple iPad 11 Pro from 2020, and today I'll show you a couple of tweaks and tricks that I can do on this device. So we're going to begin with the gestures. So the device works similarly to, for instance, like a MacBook, where you can use multiple fingers to do different actions. And as an example, if I open up, for instance, a couple apps right here, I can then use 4 fingers to swipe between these apps, as you can see. Now this can also be done by just swiping on the bar itself on the bottom, as you can see. Also you can close apps with 5-finger pinch. You can use, I believe, 4 fingers, slide up to go into recents, and then there's also additional shortcuts for stuff like copy and paste. So let me just quickly open up notes, continue, not now. So if I just type something in, I believe it's 3. Let's just try it. Okay, so that's paste. So copy as pinch, then you can paste, as you can see. So you have additional shortcuts there. I believe you can also, where is it? You could slide it somehow through on this thing, but I don't exactly remember how. And there's, well, I believe there's more of them. I just kind of need to test around, but it does retain a lot of the similarities to a laptop version of a touchpad. So you can try out, and there's a chance that things that you were used to using on a touchpad you can now do right here. Then moving on, we're gonna go into the splitting apps. So when you have an app open, just open some app like so. You have the bar right here, so instead of actually sliding up on it as you normally do, you can actually grab it and it will come up with the panel with different apps right here, as you had on a laptop as well. And from here you have the little bar right here, and it divides the apps based on the ones on the right are frequently used apps, and then the ones on the left are ones that you can basically add yourself. So you could drag additional apps here if you want more. But what this will allow you to do also is, for instance, you grab one and you can drag it over here, and as you can see now it's a window which you can still use whatever it's behind here. You can also resize it. You can go to full screen. Come on, how do you do that? Can't really figure out how to do it at the moment. Haven't really played much with it, but I know that there is a way to get it to full screen. Okay, so that's one way, I believe, to get it to full screen, like so. And disregard the sign-in page. But you can see now you have 2 different apps open, and you can resize them as well. Now I also think you can get another one over, or maybe not. Maybe it depends on the app, but you can split screen with multiple apps like so, and you have the nice panel that is easily accessible wherever you are. Now moving on, other thing that I was going to show is what we've been using to do that is when you have any app open, you can slide up to basically bring up this dock right here, where you can customize it, like I said before, to add additional icons in here. So let's grab some, and you can just drop them in here like so. Now it is limited to a certain amount of apps, so you won't be able to fit every app in here, but I believe we should be at a max. It looks like it's getting smaller now. Okay, so now we're at max, but it can look like you can add also folders if you want. Let's tap on done. And I also believe that if you flip it over, no, it just minimizes the dock, makes it even smaller. before on the previous versions it would just kind of remove certain apps. But yeah, so now if we open any kind of app and you bring up the panel, the dock, you will have a wider array of apps that you can access right here. And again, works the same way. You grab it over and you can multitask with it. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna go into locking notes, which simply allows you to, whatever you typed in, you can basically lock it so you can view it only with a password. So let's keep whatever I have jibbled in here. Tap the share button and we have lock note. And here it gives you a password, verify, and hint. So let's type in a password and verify that password and hint. Now this is completely up to you what you want to type in here. Once you satisfy, you can tap on done. You can see that now it's locked. And once you leave this, so let me just close this. You can see that it is now locked. And to view it, you need to type in the password and then it will unlock it. Now also, as you can see, it shows you a little bit of the message right here that is written in it. To get rid of it, you could just, for instance, move it down when you're starting the note itself and type in something else, like so. You can see automatically it changes it. So you could just add a name of it at the top and then have a content that you wish to hide below. And when you lock the note, like so, it won't show the text below. Then we're gonna go into the camera settings. So the cameras on here are not the best cameras on that you can get. It's only a 12 megapixel, but you can set different resolutions of recording if you go into the settings and then under a camera. So there we go, camera. Then you will have record video. Right now it's set to 1080-30, so I believe this is the default one, but you could set it up to something more respectable like 4K 60. And now if we go into our camera app and go into video, this will be recording, as you can see, out of 4K 60. It's written right over here. And you can change that up if you want to. You also have a couple other options like 4K 30 and 4K 24, which is, I guess, is more of a marketing scheme with the 24 to make it sound like it's cinematic and stuff like that, because movies are at this frame rate. But let's be honest, you're not going to be recording movie quality videos on your iPad with a 12 megapixel sensor. So this option is just kind of for, I guess, lulz, and it's just redundant in here. And also you can drop down the resolution to something less strenuous on the storage, like 1080p, and this will preserve your storage a little bit more while still retaining a decent quality along with a nice frame rate. And here you also have a really helpful diagram, I would say, of different resolutions and frame rates and how much storage they take. So you can see when it was set to, or when it is set to 4K 60, which is the best quality and frame rate, you will be taking about 400 megabytes, I believe it's per minute. A minute of video will be approximately, 400 megabytes. So this is quite significant. So almost about a little bit over 2 minutes, you will be taking a gig of your storage. So it is quite heavy on the storage, but if you drop it to at least, for instance, 4K 30, you will already drop to 170 megabytes per minute instead of the 400. So you do go significantly down. And if you go even lower to something like 1080p 60, which I advise you more to go for 60 frames rather than the resolution. It's just going to be better in recording when you have smooth frame rate rather than high resolution. So even the 1080p 60 will be taking 90 megabytes. So this is, in my opinion, fairly reasonable and should be easy to maintain if you have anything above the 128 gigabyte storage version. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna go into the LiDAR sensor, which is the third camera, sensor, however you want to call it, has this little thing right here, which is not really visible at the moment. There we go, you can see that circle, this thing, so that's the LiDAR sensor, and it has a couple different uses. Now you could go to the App Store and look for AR apps. It has a special tab in there for just these apps which will use that sensor. Or you can also test it with the provided app, which is for the measuring. I hope that's what I opened. Yep, so that's the measuring. And you can see this little thing appears. And it's kind of hard to show right now on the camera. But basically whatever you will be measuring, you can grab it, for instance. Still trying to keep it on so it's visible. But you press the plus, then you drag it down. And it will measure the distance. As you will see right here, it shows the distance. Hopefully it's in focus. So basically you can use this to measure it, and it does the job fairly well, honestly. I was quite surprised by it. So I measured the desk before and I was off by a single centimeter, which I would say it's more my fault because it was going a little bit over the board where I stopped it due to my hand shaking a little bit. So apart from that, it did, well, really good job at measuring it, and the sensor works really well. Now it uses the camera along with the sensor. The sensor is only there to measure the distances from the camera, for instance, to the object, and then determining it like that, and the camera will be there just to show you the visual feedback of how everything looks like and the overlay of it. So yeah, it works really well, and it has additional things like it snaps to edges. So when you're getting close to like a bottom of a, right here for instance, where you have the screen right over here and then the corner, it would lock to the corner if I were to, let's try to measure this. So it doesn't really want to lock right here, maybe because there's a gap, but normally it would just, in a normal situation, it would grab on to an edge, basically where you have an angle, and help you easily, well, get that measurement. So moving on, apart from that, we can move on to the next thing, which is the dark mode. So let's open it up. Now there's a couple ways of enabling it. Number one, actually more than a couple. Number one would be when you're going to the setup, it asks you if you want to enable the dark mode, and you have just the two options. And the second way, which is after the setup, which you can just access it by going to the settings and home display and brightness, and you have it right here. As you can see, you have the two options. You can switch to dark mode, and immediately you have the visibility of massive amounts of fingerprints on this just by using this. So let's go back to light, where we don't see the disgusting amount of just smudges that are on the display. And the last way you can do it is by adding it to your control center right here. So you would go again in the settings, control center, customize, and we should have it somewhere in here, dark mode. So once you, sorry, I needed to sneeze. So once you add it to the control center by just tapping on the plus, you can leave this, and when you pull the control center down, you will have this toggle right now. You can see it automatically changes, and apart from it changing just the overall scheme of everything, including apps going into dark mode, it also changes your wallpaper if you're using the couple preloaded wallpapers that have that function. Now, not every wallpaper will have this. I will quickly go into the settings and show you under display and brightness, I believe it is. Where are the wallpapers? Can't seem to really find wallpapers, not really versed too well in the Android ecosystem. But when you go into the wallpapers itself, you will have I believe it's like 4 different wallpapers that have this kind of this image on them, and it will just allow you to have these wallpapers that change the colors as well. Because normally when you set any kind of static wallpaper, it will stay the same no matter what the if it's in dark mode or not. While these ones, as you can see, right now it's in light mode, and you have, for instance, this white background right here. But if you go into the dark mode, it changes it to dark. And there is just a couple of them that have that function. And yeah, so this would conclude all the tweaks and tricks that I wanted to show. And if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.